Hello everyone and welcome back to Sudden Wealth. I hope you guys are doing very well. If you do enjoy the content, please consider dropping that like and subscribe. As you guys know, it greatly helps the channel. So, few updates that I think are relevant. So first a little bit on the political side, which means here I am risking the shadow banning again. Please drop that like and subscribe to help me a little bit with the algo. So Trump went to Joe Rogan's podcast. I think the podcast is now with 36 or 35 million views in 2 days, which is ridiculous. I think that's more views than the entire events, all the events of the Harris campaign combined, which is crazy. We've seen a ramp up in the bad rhetoric, the bad, the aggressive tone towards Trump by the media. I mean, I cannot listen to one single news piece without a certain connection to a German person. By the way, this was one of my favorites, which was because a certain German party in the 30s did a rally in Madison Square Garden, then Trump is, by extension, the same as that German fellow, right? But here is the problem. FDR did a rally, Franklin Roosevelt did a rally in 1940. JFK, so basically the two Democrat heroes, FDR and JFK, have done a rally in Madison Square Garden, one in 1940, so exactly 1 year after that famous rally that I was talking about, and the JFK did in 1962. But then Jimmy Carter, also did rallies there. And to me, the funniest part was to see Hillary Clinton on TV talking about this when her husband also did a rally. Actually, not just a normal rally, the DNC convention happened in Madison Square Garden, where her husband was appointed as the nominee. So this is what I'm trying to say. This is the craziness that goes around, right? This is the pure desperation. Now, what this scares me, to be honest with you, is that this increases the probability of another attempt at Trump. It's around 7-8 days before the magic 5th of November. And to be honest, this conversation, this ramping up of aggressiveness, it's really, really uncomfortable, to be honest, and very irresponsible. In my view, it's terrible. Now, there's a different thing. Like, I don't live in the US, right? And to be honest, I've never followed, I followed the elections a little bit, but this time I'm actually paying a bit more attention because it also influences, as you guys know, my life. And I hope that if he wins, he just declares, I don't know if he can do this or not, by the way, I'm just spitting balls here, where everyone needs to have paper ballots and voter ID. And an ID. This concept of sending mail-in ballots, these concepts are, you can vote, months, not months, but weeks in advance. You have a lot of states that don't ask for an ID. Can anybody explain this? Besides the obvious, which is trying to create some issues with potential, outcome of the elections. Because in the past, and I actually checked this, in the past you had paper ballots and you had to present an ID. Everyone would vote in a specific day, like happens in every developed country on the planet. You need to be there in a certain day. You bring your ID, you show it, you go into a little place where nobody can see what you're doing. You vote, you give it over, you go away. And then people count the votes by hand. And then if somebody's saying, oh, this election is rigged, or this is not true, or you're hiding votes, You grab the paper, you count. Ah, you're right, it was wrong. Or no, here it is, the number of votes. You are, just spreading fake news, right? Why would you use machines that take longer, are much more expensive, and they are much more prone to be, tingled with the software? So it's basically negative, 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 negative. So it takes more time, it is less reliable, and it's way more expensive. Why do you use them? Unless you have not so great motives. That's the only explanation. And then with the ID part, I don't know. Maybe in the US life is different. Look, I don't live in the US. Maybe I'm missing something that I don't get. Where I live, you need ID for daycare, you need ID to buy cigarettes, you need ID to buy alcohol, you need ID to have a bank account, you need ID to work, you need ID to have insurance, you need ID to drive, you need ID to apply for a mortgage, to what else? Pretty much for everything, actually. Yeah, if you go to the movies, and the movies is kind of like 18 year plus, if you look a bit younger, they will ask you for your ID. You need ID to enter the Democratic National Convention. Think about it. But then you don't need ID to vote. Why? Can anybody? Besides, once again, if your objective is to create the possibility of changing certain outcomes in elections, guys, I ask you, please, if I'm being unfair here, just drop me something in the comment section and say, no, you don't need ID because otherwise this is whatever the case may be. Well, going away from the part of this video where I'm most definitely going to be shadow banned, I think Trump's ideas with the podcast were actually quite interesting. I don't know who's advising him on that, but I think it was a good move. But let's go to the market. So bonds are still selling off a little bit, but they're much more stable. As I've mentioned, you can have bonds going down. You cannot have them go down 1% a day, 2%. That is far too much. 0.3, 0.2, 0.1, that's fine. But you cannot have, minus 0.75 followed by minus 0.85. That's too much. So things have seemed to stabilize a little bit. Oil prices came down quite aggressively, which is good. I think there's a lot of expectation that with if he wins, and he's now the favorite to win across basically all the polls, all the swing states, even states that people were not considering, like Nevada, he's pulling ahead. And I do think that the market is starting to price in more peaceful world conditions, if you will. He made a promise to call Zelensky and Putin on the first day after if he is elected, basically. So we'll see. Stocks, in general, doing fine and nothing special. Once again, all the people like the Harry Dents of this life that were predicting a crash, they all disappeared once again. They will pop up again when we have a 1% sell-off or something, then they will pop up again. Now, Bitcoin is close to 70K. Last time I checked, at the time of this recording, it was 69.9. So is now Bitcoin great? Because everyone was pissed that Bitcoin sold off to 65.5. And I said, that may well be the bottom. Maybe we go to 63,200. That's also possible. By the way, 63,200, between 62,700 and 63,200, it's still in the those numbers are still valid. Maybe she wins and we have a major sell-off into those levels. Possible. Maybe he wins and it ends up being a buy the rumor, sell the news event. Also possible. So 63,200 is still in play. 62,700 seems to be worst case scenario. We'll see. The funniest part is, as I've mentioned, here it is, 65,500. Maybe the last, it's strong support area. it may be the last time we pull down to those levels. And now we are at close to 70,000. Now, everyone is saying that once we go above 70,000, it will be very, very bullish. Here's a prediction for you. When we go above 70,000 and we go into the 75, 76,000, people will be bearish because we are selling off to 72,000. Wait and see it. So this week, the week of 28th of October, everybody's saying that going above 70K is very bullish. Give it a couple of weeks, and if we sell off from 77 to 72, everybody will be pissed and feeling very bearish. Because this is how much PTSD there is in this market. It's so funny to watch. People are still super mad with Ethereum. And by the way, Vitalik is pumping some testosterone on Twitter or on X. So he's back. A big player is back. I've said this before. Q4 tends to be, what did I say? Bitcoin above 80K by the end of November. And then altcoin season to start around mid-December, potentially a little bit earlier. I think Ethereum will do very well. I think Ethereum will gap up very aggressively in a very short time frame. I think everyone is in love with Solana. Obviously, Sui just sold off like 20%, so people are now more quiet. I was saying that a lot of influencers were talking about Sui, and there's a lot of token unlocks coming. Were they pumping Sui to help those big agents in terms of exit liquidity? That's a question. I'll let you decide. What do you think? This is why I don't like coins with VCs and coins with influencers, allocations, and so on, because you never know if they are pumping a coin because they believe in it, or they are pumping a coin because they want you to serve as exit liquidity. You see, with Ethereum and Pulse Chain, I don't need to guess because there's no VCs and no private. I mean, of course, Ethereum Foundation has its own allocations, but you don't have like VCs basically waiting non-stop to dump heavily on the market. I think Ethereum will do very, very well. I think people will look back at it and say, oh, Ethereum, we always knew that it was going to be great. Look at all of these and all of it. Like, then they will come with excuses after the fact. Am I advising you to buy Ethereum? No, just giving my opinion. Maybe Ethereum just keeps on underperforming the entire cycle, and then you guys can come at the end of the cycle and say, my God, you're such an idiot. You were talking so good, so well, you were believing in Ethereum, and now Ethereum is a complete garbage. Maybe that's possible. No one's saying it's not. But the reason why I like it is because it's still 50% down versus all-time highs, and literally everybody's trashing it, which means there's no one left to sell, which means these people will need to come back and buy it. Your Discover Cryptos, your Crypto Banters, your, these people that have done nothing but trashing Ethereum on a non-stop basis, they will eventually come out. I always believed in Ethereum. What are you talking about? I mean, I bought Ethereum in 2018. Did you know? Like, I'm sure. Of course, they've been pushing their followers into Solana and Sui non-stop, and then they will just pretend that they've never done anything like that, and they will just talk about whatever it's good or whatever it's going up, but because basically that will guarantee a lot of views. But in any case, we are progressing well in the cycle. I think next week has the potential to be a very interesting week. Once again, I don't believe what people are saying. If she wins, there's no crypto cycle, or if he wins, there is, then everything is well. I think if she wins, you have a good cycle, but a lower cycle than Trump. That's it. But when people say, "Oh yeah, it's gonna go from," it's either it's either 500K Bitcoin or 50K Bitcoin. No, I mean, come on. I don't think that's going to be the case because currency keeps on getting debased. I mean, and if we are in a bull market in crypto, do you think she's going to target crypto during a bull market? No. If she will do any of the things that people are so afraid of, and they may well happen, don't get me wrong, she will do it in a better market. Did you hear anything from Biden during 2020 or 2021 on crypto? No. When did the SEC started going after crypto? 2022. Why? Because it was a bear market. FTX went bankrupt. They need to show work. Get it? She's not just gonna come, oh, Bitcoin is high and a lot of my donors like it and BlackRock loves it and I'm just gonna trash Bitcoin out of nowhere. Do you think she's gonna do it? Or she's gonna do it if there's a bear market and basically a couple of exchanges go bankrupt and a lot of Americans lose their money? Which one do you think she's gonna act? If she wins, obviously. But with that, guys, thank you very much for the update, for being here. Don't forget, like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.